this video, we're going to talk about internal hordeolum, external hordeolum, and chalazion. So first, let us talk about internal and the external hordeolum. So internal hordeolum is a suppurative inflammation. External is also suppurative inflammation, but this involves the meibomian gland, and the external hordeolum involves the glands of Zeiss or Moll. And talking about predisposing factors, first is age. Usually, it affects or it is more common in children and young adults, and also the patients who have eye strains because of any muscle imbalance or refractive errors, right? So that is the first point. Next is habitual rubbing of eyes, as in case of chronic blepharitis, or you could say fingering of the lids and nose. And it is also shown that diabetes mellitus is usually associated with styes and also internal hordeolum. And metabolic factors, so metabolic factors like chronic debility, excessive intake of carbohydrates or alcohol, right? Carbs, alcohols, they also act as predisposing factors, right? That was about predisposing factors, and predisposing factors are same for external hordeolum also, the same. And talking about causative organism, in external hordeolum, the causative organism is the Staph aureus, the Staphylococcus aureus. And clinical features, talking about clinical features, first, symptoms are acute pain. So this is an acute pain, not a chronic pain, you have to remember that. Acute pain associated with swelling. So patient comes with acute pain associated with swelling of lid, and this obviously in most of the lid conditions you see watering and photophobia, so no need to mention it specifically, I think, here. But the main part is acute pain with swelling. And signs, so signs here, there are actually two stages here: stage of cellulitis and stage of abscess formation, right? So first, in stage of cellulitis, you see a very red, tender, firm swelling at the lid margin. So the thing which you have to remember is at the lid margin. Yes, at the lid margin. So the lid margin, you have a round, not round, but a localized, firm, red, tender swelling at the lid margin, and is usually associated with marked edema. And usually there is one stye. External hordeolum is also called as styes. Sorry, I forgot to tell you about that. This is also called as stye, stye, right over here, stye, right? Yes. And yes, next is stage of abscess formation. So in stage of abscess formation, it is characterized by a viable pus point. And the thing which I have to remember here is the pus point is on the lid margin in relation to the affected cilia. So you could say the pus point is present outside in relation to the affected cilia. The pus point is outside. Whereas in internal hordeolum, we'll talk about it in a minute, the pus point is on towards the tarsal conjunctiva. Here it is on the affected cilia, in relation to the affected cilia, right? So let us talk about internal hordeolum, how its clinical features are present. So in internal hordeolum, clinical features are mostly the same as external hordeolum. So symptoms, acute pain, right? Acute pain associated with swelling, mild watering, and photophobia, the same. And here the difference is pain is more intense here. Intense pain is more intense in the internal hordeolum, right? Because of due to swelling is being impaired deeply into the dense fibrous tissue. So the name itself, internal hordeolum, the swelling is quite deep when compared to the external hordeolum. That is why internal hordeolum swelling is more painful. And signs, talking about sign in this, this is also localized, firm, red, tender swelling of the lid. But as I told you that the pus point, or the point of maximum tenderness, it is away from the lid margin, right? So the point of max tenderness, it is away from the lid margin. It is usually on the tarsal conjunctiva side, right? On the tarsal conjunctiva side, right? I'm sorry for this. Yeah, the point of maximum tenderness is away from the lid margin, away from the lid margin, and the pus point is usually seen at the tarsal conjunctiva. So when you invert the conjunctiva, or invert the lid margin, you could see on the conjunctiva a yellowish spot. I'll show you a picture. So here, I guess you could see. So on the lower eyelid, see the yellowish area here on inverting the lid. And this is the pus point is not on the root of cilia as it is in external hordeolum, but it is on the tarsal conjunctiva. So that is the difference, right? Let us once again talk about the basic differences between external and internal hordeolum. The basic differences is here meibomian gland is involved, here's Zeals, these are the molar gland is involved. Here the pain is more intense in internal compared to the external, and in science the pus point is towards the tarsal conjunctiva, but here the pus point is at the cilia, or you could say at the lid margin, right? That is the differences between internal and external hordeolum. Now talking about treatment of internal and external hordeolum, so treatment is quite same for both of them, but there's a one slight difference about which I will tell you in a minute. Talking about treatment over here, so first is hot compress at the swelling 2 to 3 times a day. These are very useful, especially in the cellulitis stage. And next is evacuation of pus if pus has formed. Evacuation of pus by epilating. So epilating is removal, right? So epilating of cilia means removal of cilia. So evacuation of pus should be done by epilating the involved cilia when the pus point is formed. Next is surgical. If it is a large abscess, we could go for a surgical incision. And antibiotic eye drops, so you have to remember eye drops 3 to 4 times a day, and eye ointment at the bedtime. This is to control the infection. Next is systemic anti-inflammatory and anti-analgesics. This is for reducing these are for reducing edema and pain. So mainly anti-inflammatory for reducing edema and analgesics for reducing the pain. And systemic antibiotics, so here we're using eye drops, here systemic antibiotics for early control of infection, right? Early control. And if the styes are recurrent, then you have to find out why they are recurrent and try to treat the predisposing conditions. So for internal hordeolum also it is same, but the only difference is when you do the surgery, or when you're trying to evacuate the pus, you have to do a vertical incision from the tarsal conjunctiva, because the pus point is on the tarsal conjunctiva, so you have to do the incision at the tarsal conjunctiva. So that is the only difference about between these two. Now about chalazion. Chalazion is the commonest of all lid lumps. It is a non-infective, non-suppurative inflammation. So if you remember the external hordeolum and the internal hordeolum, they were infective. Not in. They were suppurative ones. This is a non-suppurative. And the main thing which you have to remember is that it is a lipogranulomatoous inflammation, and it involves the meibomian gland. The internal hordeolum also involves the meibomian gland, but that is a suppurative one. This is a non-suppurative one. Talking about pathogens, so first what happens is a low virulence microorganism. It infects the meibomian gland, which leads to proliferation and infiltration of the walls of the ducts, which leads to blockage of ducts, because of which there will be retention of secretions, which is the sebum, which leads to enlargement of the gland. So this all these secretions, which are mainly fatty in nature, they excite and these all act as an irritant, and they excite a non-infective lipogranulomatous inflammation. So that is about the pathogenesis of chalazion. Now let us talk about its clinical features. Which is first, it is painless. We remember external and the internal hordeolum, they were painful, acute pain, but this is painless, and its size increases gradually. This is a main presenting symptom. Next, there is a mild lacrimation on the lip, maybe felt because of with large chalazion. There can be mild lacrimation. Right? There can be mild lacrimation, and there will be blurring of vision because of the pressure effect on the cornea or by the chalazion, right? And there will be watering, epiphora. So this is because sometimes due to the lower punctum gets averted because of a large chalazion on the lower eyelid. So when there is a very large chalazion on the lower eyelid, it leads to eversion of the lower puncta, which leads to epiphora. So these are the symptoms. Now talking about signs of chalazion, right? Talking about signs. So first is the nodule. Let's talk about the nodule, how it is present, and how does it look like. Nodule is, it's slightly away from the lid margin. So remember, the external and the internal nodulum, the swellings were at the lid margin, but this is quite away from the lid margin, right? So this is the lid margin. So here it's quite away from the lid margin, but the internal and external nodulums, they were at the on the lid margins or near to the lid margins. But this nodule in the chalazion, it is away from the lid margin. So this is the main thing to remember. This is firm to hard, and it is non-tender. This is a non-tender one. The other ones, the nodulums were tenderness. They were like painful. These are non-tender on palpation. Upper lid is involved more commonly, right? So upper lid is more commonly involved because of the fact that upper lid contains more meibomian glands, and frequently multiple chalazion non-tender, and frequently multiple chalazion may be seen. So there will be reddish purplish area where the chalazion usually points. It is seen on the palpebral conjunctiva. So when you avert the lid, so on eversion of lid, you will see a purplish area. So remember, in the internal nodulum on everting, you were seeing a yellow pus point. Here you are seeing a yellow purple area where the chalazion usually points. It is seen on the palpebral conjunctiva after eversion of lid. Right. Next, third sign is projection of the main bulk of swelling on the skin side may be seen very rarely. So usually the swelling, it is mostly seen inside towards the conjunctival side, and very rarely the projection of the main bulk of the swelling occurs. I'll show you an image here. So as you can see here the main bulk of the swelling, it is more towards the conjunctival side, but here you could see the bulk of this swelling is towards the skin side, right? So marginal chalazion can also occur. Marginal chalazion means when a chalazion is at the lid margin, a small reddish gray nodule on the lid margin. So talking about clinical course and complications, complication. First is there can be a complete spontaneous resolution, right? Or there can be a slow increase in size is often seen, and eventually it becomes very large. And the next thing, you can see a fungating mass of granulation tissue. So when this lesion bursts on the conjunctival side, when it bursts on the conjunctival side, so you could see a fungating mass of granulation tissue, right? Fungating mass of granulation tissue. And the next thing is secondary infection may lead to formation of an nodulum internum. And next, calcification may occur. It's very rare calcification, but it can occur. Malignant change into meibomian gland adenocarcinoma or the sebaceous cell carcinoma may be occasionally seen in elderly people. Okay. And next, talking about treatment. So treatment, first treatment will be conservative. If the chalazion is small in size, or it's a very decent chalazion, we could self resolution can be done hot fermentation, topical antibiotics, or other oral antibiotic eye drops and anti-inflammatory drugs. Right. Next is intralesional injection of long-acting steroid like triamcinolone, especially when the puncta is when the chalazion is located near the puncta. So when we in those cases, if we do a incision and curettage, if they in that case, doing a incision and curettage is harmful at the lower puncta because it can damage the lower puncta. So we usually do an intralesional injection of long-acting steroid when the chalazion is at the puncta, right? So in 50% cases, it has shown very good resolution. Next is incision and curettage. So this is the most effective treatment for chalazion, conventional and effective treatment. The surface anesthesia is first given by instilling xylocaine drops. Next, incision is made with a sharp blade. This should be vertical on the conjunctival side because to avoid the injury to meibomian glands. Next is contents are curated out using a chalazion scoop. I'll show you a picture of chalazion scoop. So this is a picture of chalazion scoop. So by this we curate out. Next is we apply carbolic acid cautery then neutralization by with methylated spirit. This is done to provide to prevent any recurrence. And next is patching of eye should be done. After all these steps, we have to patch the eye, right? but before patching we have to instill. Yes, before patching, we have to instill antibiotic eye drops for 6 to 12 hours. Then we have to do patching of eye. Then at last, we could do some post-operative treatment like to prevent infection or reoccurrence and to decrease discomfort. We can apply some fat fermentation, antibiotic eye drops, or oral anti-inflammatory, analgesics, oral antibiotics for 4 to 5 days and so. And we could also do a diathermy if a marginal chalazion is seen. I've told you a marginal chalazion is seen occasionally when there is a small reddish gray purple on the lid margin. Chalazion is not seen on the lid margin, but if it is seen, it is called as marginal chalazion. So in that case, we do a diathermy. Next is oral tetracycline is usually used when the chalazion is associated with acne rosacea or seborrheic dermatitis. So if the chalazion is recurrent, malignancy should always be ruled out. That was about chalazion. Thank you. Hope you have understood well.